It's about time you showed up, Fox.
What's good, gang? I am a person.
I've been seeing a lot of videos lately about those 2-week-long Minecraft servers that people play on like once a year, so I wanted to make a video on a series of those servers I had with my friends. A lot of people will play for a while, build some things, beat the Ender Dragon with their friends, and then the server will just kind of die out. But in my case, our servers always looked like
Oh, run!
This video, on a surface level, is about a group of friends playing on a silly little Minecraft server named Microwave. However, when you look deeper into the history and story of Microwave during the last 4 years, you'll find that it's much more than that. Minecraft was just the bastion we used to interact with each other and tell our stories. From creating friendships to ending others, this is something I'll look back on in 10 years and remember vividly. This isn't just a fictional, pre-planned story. This is a recalling of real events and real actions made by real people. So without further ado, let's finally get into the secret origins of Microwave and how it all started with a girl named Felicia.
I joined full-time Excel in 4th grade, alright? And I joined late, okay, like later into the year. I want to say like maybe a month in. And everyone I had ever known up to that point had gone to that class. And I had somehow like transferred in because apparently the person who was in there was totally just terrible and just got like kicked out. So I was next up. Since I got like high enough scores, they put me like high up on the list and I got in. But you know who else got in? Chase. So the thing is, alright, Chase was just like totally just I don't know how else to describe him other than insane, okay? Totally insane 4th grader, okay? He had this like mushroom cut, okay? It was really goofy, alright? And like we became really good friends, okay? Just because like haha wacky antics, okay? You see, that went on until middle school, okay? And then, you know, of course, I made basically everyone in my like small circle of friends in a Discord server along with Chase. The thing is, I played Minecraft with Chase a lot prior to that because he was the one who really got me into it. Like, I didn't have a good computer until like 2017, okay? He got me into Minecraft, he played a lot of it with me, and that eventually led to us being in a call, okay? Him trying to gaslight me into thinking that Tony had a girlfriend named Felicia, okay? Posted a bunch of fake pictures, okay? And I was like, you're totally lying, okay? And he was like, nah, this is true, trust. And then, you know, made the server, was on there for like a little bit, okay? And then made Yo, it's Joe, got back on there because like at the time we didn't have anything better to do. And the thing is, like the Nether update had like recently come out and we were like, this is cool. We haven't done this before because I didn't really play many like or a lot of modern Minecraft because it was kind of slow and the PvP was terrible. So we made that. We played on it. We got you on there. You joined the server, and that is what became of Microwave.
At this point, baby Andrew had just gotten his very first computer for Christmas. Originally, I wasn't supposed to get one, but my dad had a work friend who was giving one away around the same time, so that's what we had. As soon as we got it, we accidentally bought Bedrock instead of Java Minecraft. Now, I doubt whoever's watching doesn't see the problem with this, but basically I couldn't play with my friends on Bedrock because they all had Java. The reason I got Java Edition was so I could play with my friends on a Tiny Earth server, which that alone I could make a video on, but we're not gonna do that. Eventually, after that kind of died out, I got invited to a server called Yo, it's Joe on Minehut. Also, for those of you who don't know, Minehut is this really bad but free server hosting platform, and because it was originally just some friends hanging out, we didn't really need much more than that. The moment I logged onto Microwave 1, I spawned in a little hut. As soon as I joined, I accidentally broke a piece of glass in the spawn house, and after not replacing it because I just joined and I figured it's only a single piece of glass, I got kicked from the server. What a great start. I joined back, and soon after, I would end up meeting someone who would change the trajectory of my story on Microwave for the next 4 years. I'm still friends with this person now, and his name is Ricky.
So I remember we got on, both of us, like pretty much at the same time. We'd like never met before. Like I think I saw you once in the lunchroom or something, but never met before. And there was, already a small town. And we asked if we could join them, and they were like, no. So we were like, hey, let's go make our own. And then we did.
Alright, now an important thing to mention is that when Ricky and a lot of other people mention the lunchroom, they aren't actually talking about a physical lunchroom. To give some context, something heavily intertwined with microwave is the lunchroom. In 2020, when the world wasn't doing the best, the new school year was about to start up. I thought to myself, man, it's gonna be a bummer when I'm not able to talk to my friends at lunch. And then, I had an idea. From there, I created The Lunchroom, a Discord server where me and all my friends from school could hang out and talk. I wouldn't mention this if it weren't integral to some points of Microwave's history, but some events in The Lunchroom directly correlate to their events on Microwave, especially in Microwave 2. I didn't know a lot of the people who first joined Microwave, but I would definitely get to know them over the next 4 years. Immediately, people grouped up and factions were created. Preston and Chase, along with our friend Hayden, were a part of the Obsidian Empire. Me and Ricky, having joined at the same time and not really knowing anyone, asked to join, but they declined.
We were still living in the spawn house, and you had like done your own like secret thing, and you were very secretive about it. Okay, you didn't want to be found. Like you had this like the piston door, right? But the thing is, okay, you left a boat on the shore, pointing in the exact direction of your base. So I went in that same direction, invis, and I found your base. Since I was invis, I was just like, funny, and then I placed water everywhere. I broke all your torches, and you got really mad about it. I didn't really have any other reason to go there other than to, like, fuck with you.
We were just kind of minding our own business, and then we noticed that like weird stuff's happening. There's torches breaking, creepers being like lured towards us, and then I noticed some particles, and then we're like, they're invisible. So then we got out our swords, and we were just trying to swing. We never hit them, and then they just flooded our base, and then we got mad and went over to their base and did something. Oh wait, no, we didn't do anything at their base. We went over there to do something, and then like they were standing there in like full diamond or like full netherite. And we were like, okay, we were in iron armor, we gotta go.
When me and Ricky went over to the Obsidian Empire after this to confront them, we saw them all fully geared up and standing in a line directly in front of their base. This is where you'll find the first real instance of tensions between my group and Preston's group. Him putting water in our base wasn't the thing that made me mad, it was the fact that they found our base in the first place. I wanted to keep our base a secret, but because of our mistake, they found it anyways. There are a lot of other factions that aren't us, and they are all very important to the history of Microwave. In the West, there was the Merchant Alliance. This faction were war profiteers. They would incite war and then profit off of the chaos that came with it while staying out of the battle.
Okay, so in Microwave 1, I started it. It was called this thing called the Merchant Alliance. It was like the one Savannah biome that was close to spawn, because I still stand by this. I think that acacia wood can look good if you use it right, and I just like it. Yeah, but the Merchant Alliance, it was just me at the start. Everybody else was already, everybody else on the server I knew was already off doing their own thing, off for other people. I didn't have a whole lot of direct power, but I was definitely in the game, in Microwave 1 for what I remember. Basically what I remember is I had a lot of soft power because I was chill with everybody. I knew everybody was chill with me, and I knew I could give information to people at my own choosing. Eventually, I invited Caden along, and then he was kind of vibing, but he's the type of player that just disappears off to nowhere. So after hanging out with him for a bit, he was basically to Narnia and never came back, except for when he did.
There was Arborea, which consisted of Bodhi and Rich, although Rich never really got on. They were a neutral faction, and their main goal was to build a castle, which never ended up happening.
Like, mining a lot of cobblestone. I remember having at least 3 double chests of it. And then basically doing nothing with it because I didn't get the time to finish.
There was also a few people who went off and just kind of did their own thing, like Aspen, John, Keenan, Alex, and others I'm forgetting. Aspen is a prime example of someone who plays Microwave to build and have fun, which I totally respect.
I remember I went to go live very close to the Obsidian Empire, but not too far away because I didn't want to be away from everything. I was attempting to build this big, almost kind of like courthouse type of building. That's not what it was intended to be, but it's kind of got that like old style to it. And I was going to build an island underneath it and have, this cool build. I only ended up putting 1 wall up because it required way too many bricks. It started a long theme on Microwave of me building way too big and only ending up building like a wall. The wall looks really good, but it's only a wall. I remember Keenan lived not too far from my house. I was on the ocean, he was on a cliff slightly farther down from my house. He ended up not building anything either, but sometimes I'd steal his stuff and that was kind of funny.
Me and Ricky founded Virum, which eventually turned into a pretty large faction after the starting limit was removed.
It was eventually lifted, but like at the time, it was 3 people per group. It's not a bad idea, but like, I eventually lifted it because there were so many people that joined that it didn't really make sense to have that anymore. That was in place mainly because the server's player base was so small, and I didn't want people like drooping up. But anyway.
We added Sam and Connor, who would both help us throughout our time on Microwave 1. This was everyone in Virum, which also had a different name. I'm being so for real. I don't remember when, where, or how it happened, but one day when me and Ricky were on Microwave, someone made a joke that I'm just gonna assume it's something like
So, Andrew, what's our faction name?
Virum.
More like your mom.
And here we are now. Unfortunately.
I joined like partway through its existence. It had already been going on for a little while before I joined. When I got there, I remember there was a fight that happened between you, Ricky, and Chase. That was like the original one. He banned you guys because you broke a piece of glass. And then that's like the first thing I remember. We kind of like separate into groups of people with you and Ricky starting a thing and then me joining shortly afterwards after I built my house. Instead of moving my house over there, like breaking it apart and moving, I kind of just left it there, which kind of left a portion of property that was mainly owned by everybody else in our control.
This small house that Connor built for no reason other than to just live in ended up being an important resource for Virum. What we would do is camp out inside it near times when we thought something was going to happen and watch the Obsidian Empire. One day, this paid off more than we thought it would. I got on the server, just chilling, and after walking around a bit, I wandered to Connor's house, and that's where I saw it. The Obsidian Empire's iconic build. Preston, after grinding for hours, made a massive wall surrounding Spawn and their main headquarters. From this day on, it became clear what their goals were. Power and intimidation.
That marked our territory. That kept people out. And if people got in spawn, they spawned in for the first time. I could be like, get off my damn property, and it would impose on them from day one that you should not come here and that you should not mess with us.
I spawned in this little shack, then I walk out of the shack, and I'm surrounded by obsidian. Honestly, I didn't think something like that would have been possible, but no, they did it.
I wanted to make damn sure that no one was gonna touch our stuff. If you don't establish your claim, right, that's kind of just free roam territory. So what we did, or what I did, was that I went out, I got like a bunch of diamond pickaxes, and I went to the nether and I mined 63 stacks of blackstone, shoved them in a chest, and built up the wall. It was the massive circular wall made out of blackstone. There was the giant gates, there was like this kind of like slat looking things on the top, but apparently there was also like quartz bricks, and I was just like, yes. So I used a bunch of those.
These walls were a physical sign of their position on Microwave. The tensions were growing rapidly between the two groups. Me and Ricky quickly built up a set of walls on our own, but they were nothing more than a line of cobblestone on the ground. However, because Preston and the Obsidian Empire began to claim more land than just Spawn, we also took way more land than we needed to around Connor's house so we could have a spot in their territory.
It was like the one property we had that was in the area that Preston's group owned, and so we were trying to hold on to something in that area to help scout out. So you built walls to be like, this is our property.
Because of the high tensions, we entered somewhat of a cold war where both of the two main factions were in constant fear that the other one would attack without warning.
They were pretty arrogant. They were kind of bullying because they wanted to, well, not really bully, you know what I mean, like inciting violence and stuff, because they wanted to rule the server, and we didn't really like that. So we were like, no, and then we were trying to like not let them do that. And that's kind of how it started, because, they wanted to take over. We were like, no, we don't want to be taken over. There was always just, the threat that one of us might go into the other's base and surprise him and kill him.
I just remember everything infinitely escalating. It was just a lot of random killing.
There were a lot of little fights between us that would happen frequently. One of those minor fights was when I was being an idiot. Wow, crazy. For some reason, and I know this sounds like a total lie, but I swear it's the truth, I wanted to test what X-ray was like, There was this texture pack I found online for it, and I was like, there's no way a texture pack would let you see through blocks. So I put it on for a split second just to test it, but that split second was already too much.
Well, basically, you were like trying to see if you could use X-ray. Once you got the texture pack working, you tried it out once, and then because we were streaming it to us, and it was in a Discord server, without them even joining, they were able to see a preview of you using X-ray just by looking at our chat, and happened to notice we were using it, and then they got mad at us because you used X-ray for half a second. But they didn't know you used X-ray for half a second because that's all they saw, but that's all they had to see to know that you were using X-ray. And then after that, they like got mad at you for using X-ray.
Another little fight was when I ended up being multiple thousands of blocks away, and I asked Preston just to teleport me back real quick because I didn't want to walk all the way home.
I'm pretty sure you got stuck somewhere. It was like, it would take a long time to get back, but so then you asked if you could just teleport. You asked in chat, and of course everybody said no. And so then we had an argument in chat about that. But the point was that we kind of thought it was dumb that we couldn't just teleport, because it was, at that point, it wasn't a very serious server, and we were just kind of dicking around still.
All of these small dramas, although unimportant, added up as time went on, and it didn't help when the tensions did not stop rising. It was nothing big, it was just a bunch of small things. Ricky built up a hoglin farm on the nether roof so we could get food. He built a slime farm so we could get slime balls to make farms, but also so we could make a bouncy house. I love that bouncy house. Even though we had a lot of stuff from spending hours at a time on the server, we knew that they had the resources to do way more than we could. But even with their walls, we had no idea just how unbelievably rich they were.
I have many screenshots dated of me going into a plains village, okay, because I had done my research, okay, and I had found out that villagers were absurdly broken. We could have infinite amounts of diamond gear from just sticks, because Fletchers give you 1 emerald per 32 sticks, and then you can convert that to logs. I don't know how much it was, but basically, from the beginning, okay, we took a bunch of villagers, I shipped them across the ocean, we put them in this like underground area that had a window that like looked into the ocean, and there was just a ton of beds in there, and they just kind of let them like roam around, and we got a bunch of Fletchers and the occasional like armorer and, you know, toolsmith and weaponsmith. But like from the very beginning, we didn't have much, right? It was mainly just mining wood. It was all wood. So from what happened then, okay, basically I went out really far. I found a spruce village, but it had a bamboo. Bamboo grows really fast. You can farm it really easily. It grows like sugarcane, except it doesn't need water, and it can be converted into sticks. We'd found that there was a slime chunk really close to our base, okay? It was like practically at spawn almost. And then we made a slime farm there for the express purpose of getting a ton of slime balls, so then we can make a, not even that big of a bamboo farm, it was just like 1 chunk. But that was enough. That was enough to, you know, make tons of money. We had practically infinite money at that point because we could just farm the bamboo, just make sticks, and then, you know, buy all of the gear that we needed. Like, I had so much emeralds that I could enchant stuff that doesn't even need to be enchanted. Like, there's pictures of me having enchanted flint and steel. Like, at that point, it was totally overkill. I didn't need it, but I did it anyway. Chase set up a really big sheep farm. So we would just shear the sheep, we'd make a shit ton of beds, and then we'd go in the nether, and we would just mine. We'd mine for hours, and then we'd have so much netherite. Like, we had just stockpiles upon stockpiles of netherite in our ender chests. So we were prepared to fall 2 times over. We could just steamroll over everyone. If we were gonna maintain spawn, we needed to rule by force. But we didn't get that opportunity.
Chase was the only one on. They were running the Obsidian Empire. They were mad stacked, and bro was like, okay, if you go do manual labor and cut down sticks, I'll let you use the villagers. Basically, villagers got the emerald trade for sticks or whatever. And so, like, I just, like, grinded, like, a full set of diamond in my first hour of playing. I was poor, but at the end, I was pretty rich. I think I might have been one of the most individually wealthy. I like, acquired a lot, because I was basically friends with everybody, and, over time, like, if we're just going for, like, a pure, like, economic... I know I got permission from Bodhi to use this cactus farm, so I got all the green dye I could ever want. Eventually, I stole villagers from the Obsidian Empire one night. They were logged off, and their villagers were underwater in a glass encasement. So what I did was went and broke the glass, melted more glass, made it, placed the glass on there after I stole the villagers out of there. Still a couple they wouldn't notice. They had breeders. So like the server had mob griefing on, so there's gonna be billions of villagers. So I just stole a couple and started my own little villager outpost, and then eventually made a sugarcane farm automatic, so then I could just sit there and get paper and then just make a bunch of money. And so I had basically all the resources I could ever want. But like from what I remember, like you guys were poor. I remember that very distinctly. I just thought you guys were poor, and I just felt bad. I remember scamming you guys at a netherite a bunch.
We were clearly horribly outmatched by the Obsidian Empire. We had very few villagers, their trades weren't the best, and I didn't even know how to cure a zombie villager. And we built a bounce house. The thing is, we didn't know that. What we thought at the time was that we were both pretty level and they had just a little more stuff than us. So we kept grinding out those last diamonds and those last pieces of netherite until we had what we wanted. We made some more farms, including a piglin farm near our hoglin farm to get us experience, and we got fully enchanted netherite armor. Apparently this was still nothing compared to what they had, but we felt like we were ready to be more bold. Or, I mean, at least I was. One night, I was roaming around the ocean, just about to go to sleep, and no one was online, except for me. I was trying to find a location for a secondary base that we could use in the event that our base got raided or blown up, and while exploring, I found a very important structure. Preston's creeper farm. I slowly went up to it. I didn't know what it was at the time. I remember exploring around it a little bit, and eventually I stumbled upon 2 double chests full of gunpowder. So, I mean, as you could imagine, I quickly stole as much as I could fit in my inventory and left. I planned to use this gunpowder to make fireworks for the elytra I got from giving Hunter an abundance of netherite, but I figured that they would have stacks upon stacks of gunpowder and wouldn't notice it missing. As I began to return home, blissfully unaware of the situation in my little boat, I was too blind to see what Preston was planning.
Well, I didn't build the gunpowder farm. I definitely stole from the gunpowder farm. Everybody did. Literally, I don't know a single person who didn't steal from the gunpowder farm. I felt like they were like had it lock and key. Like it was super easy to grab some, and they just didn't notice. So
At this point, we were very fully against each other. We had both made it clear that we were on opposite sides of this battle. Whether it was meant to be like this since the start or not, we had unknowingly started the very first instance of the larger microwave theme: Andrew versus Preston. From the smaller petty dramas to me stealing a whole bunch of his gunpowder, things had already escalated way more than they needed to. But one day, Hunter came to me with a problem.
in retrospect, this is so funny. Big JV, otherwise known as Excellent Tuba 772 or something like that. He's a chill dude. I mean, like, yeah, but like at the time, I didn't know him at all, and I was a little piss child. And suddenly, I don't even remember. I think my shulkers were freaking out of my ender chest or something. I had them laying around. This dude stole them.
I had known that John took the shulkers for a while before Hunter told me. Me and him were on pretty good terms, and we would often talk about what we were both doing. He told me that he stole the shulkers, and we kept quiet about it. I also told him about me stealing gunpowder from Preston and how Preston was angry about it. And in response, John said he also took gunpowder. But when Hunter came to me saying there was someone that took his shulkers, I figured I would rather strengthen my relationship with Hunter than lose it because I didn't tell him what John did. However, I also had an ulterior motive. I knew that John had stolen some gunpowder, but it wasn't nearly as much as I stole. What I wanted to do was get rid of him so that people would blame him for all of the stolen gunpowder and not just his share. Because John trusted me, we quickly set up a place where I could trade the shulkers back. But unbeknownst to him, it wasn't just me going on the multi-thousand block journey. I knew John had a lot of loot, and I was worried that he had a lot of TNT on him that he could use to blow things up. So I figured I needed more people than just me and Hunter. Desperate, I went to the Obsidian Empire and talked to Preston. I told him that I knew we were against each other, but we needed to team up just this once to stop John from whatever he was doing. While I was attempting to convince him, I also told him that John was the one who stole all of his gunpowder. With that last little push, Preston agreed to help us get revenge.
Here was a, I want to say, legendary battle, okay, because this took so much effort to orchestrate. Basically, all right, there is a guy, Excellent Tuba 72. Okay, that's John. We didn't know John, and John knew Keenan, so you know that's how we got on here. John kind of just showed up, made a house, and then like, you know, he kind of just did he walked over to Hunter's base, stole a bunch of his shulkers, and then just walked away. And then Hunter, of course, being the like war profiteer kind of neutral party, was like, what the hell, man? You can't just steal my shulkers like that.
I was the only one who could go up to him. While I was talking to John and attempting to convince him to open his ender chest and take the shulkers out so we could trade, Hunter, Preston, and Hayden were sitting around the corner with Invis potions ready to strike.
What we did, okay, was that we got a bunch of people together, all right? You were relaying information to me, and I was with like Hayden. We had just a ton of Invis pods, and we were slowly like making our way over to the coordinates. And like I remember, okay, I dug this like tunnel into the wall, and I saw John just like walk by, and I'm like, Oh, I'm about to die.
Didn't even really think about it, that it was a big deal. And then literally there was like this whole quest line where like I knew that, like I don't even remember, bro. Somehow someone got a cord to meet up with him. So eventually, like, yeah, you organized a meetup between you and him in game at specific cords. There was like 4 of us that went over there, right? Yeah, so you organized the meetup and we were all shifting around, like hiding, and then we you started talking to him, typing a game, and then we freaking jumped him and murdered him for the Shulker's back.
And I took an Invis pot, you know, just like took off all my armor, and then I see him, okay, and he's going in, right, like, you know, you're making the deal, you're trying to convince him, right, he's taking the stuff out of his ender chest, and I'm just like, whoosh. Axe to the back of the head. Everyone else just like comes out of the trees and just starts like beating him up, okay? And he doesn't see anything because we're all like invis and whatnot. And then he's just like so overwhelmed. He can't put his stuff back in the ender chest because we're like he's being killed by a bunch of dudes with axes. And he totally dies. And then we make a bunch of item frames and signs of the boats that we use. I remember I had some sea pickles on me, so I placed them on there and made this like weird kind of like monument, kind of funky. It was like some antlers or something.
Yeah, like that was so fun. Let me make like a little monument. I was honestly that was like a couple hours, dude. We spent a lot of time doing that. Yeah, no, that was fun. I remember that. That was definitely a highlight.
It was a very interesting moment and a victory for everyone, except John, who was actually surprisingly chill about it. For the first time in microwave history, me and Preston had teamed up to do something. When we got home, Preston made it clear that we were still not on the same side. And then we all went on with our activities and went back to the way it was before. It was calm for a while. The tensions were still high, but they weren't raising nearly as much. Then, a man came along who started a chain reaction that led to the end of microwave. Me and Preston both began to notice items missing from our chests. We saw small holes on the ground near our bases that looked like creeper holes, but we knew that we didn't cause them. We started to blame each other, and also John. I thought Preston was the obvious person to blame because we had constantly been against each other for the entire time. And after thinking about it, John would have had a good reason to blow up our stuff too because we killed him after I ratted him out. The involvement of the terrorist skyrocketed tensions.
You know how there were many parties, right? Well, one of them who was unaccounted for was... I didn't know who he was. I knew he was a friend of and I knew he was vaguely assimilated with The thing is, I didn't make the connection, okay? I trusted alright? And honestly, I probably shouldn't have because I had no reason to. He wasn't giving me anything that much. But the thing is, I played the role of the terrorist because originally in the center of our base, okay, was this really big tower, okay, and it had this Ravager on it that I captured from a raid because I had heard from this one Simply Sark video that you could go really far by basically teleporting yourself while riding a llama and getting hit by a Ravager. Unfortunately, that got patched with the server software Mindhub was using, so that was pretty annoying. But he blew up the tower, and more concerningly, he stole the dragon egg.
During the time when stuff was just getting exploded randomly, I left out a chest with resources in it that just said, "Hey, person blowing things up, please don't blow up my base. Take these as an offering."
I'd found the stronghold really early because I knew that like this is gonna be an important item. Like this is quite literally Minecraft MacGuffin. So we get that, and I naively leave it in the spawn chest, like in the spawn house, and not in my ender chest. And he takes it, he blows up the tower, and he leaves, and he doesn't say anything. I didn't know it was him at the time. Like he told me later, but like I had no idea it was him, like whatsoever. I was partially responsible for not busting him because I remember he had a really terrible alibi, but I was like, oh, he was AFK, and I had justified him not being the terrorist, which let him be the terrorist more. So time goes on, okay, it's feeding me information because he's still vaguely associated with, so tells me, okay, and he's like, the terrorist doesn't really matter. Okay, your border disputes do. Do something about Andrew.
Everyone was on edge because no one knew who the terrorist was. In the midst of all this, I did something that I regret to this day. Talking about it makes me think how stupid it was. It all started with me making a firework crossbow. I wanted to have a strong weapon, just in case Preston was the terrorist, and if he wasn't, I would still use it against him. I was messing around with a firework crossbow I made when... I don't even know. I don't want to say it. The first part could have been forgiven by some because it was an accident, but what I did after was not forgivable.
So I remember I got on one day, and I couldn't find my cats anywhere. My beautiful cats that were named after my cats in real life. I thought maybe someone had buried them, because that's what people do often for some reason. So I did cheat a little bit. I got an X-ray. I turned on X-ray because I really wanted to find my cats, but I couldn't find them anywhere. So then I asked, I think, a few people, and they were like, no, I don't know what happened. And then I asked you. You said I don't know at first, but then I kept on like pressing, and then eventually you told me that you crushed them with anvils. So I didn't like that too much. So I was like, bro, really? Why would you do that? And you're like, I don't know, I just kind of felt like it. Are you even gonna apologize? And then you said, no, they're Minecraft cats, get over it. Yeah, so then I went over to Preston and was like, hey, I'll be a spy for you. And he asked, why would you do that? Why wouldn't I think that you're like a whatever double agent? And I said, he killed my cats, bro. And he just couldn't believe me.
That'll do it. That'll do it. Hurt Ricky's cats, that's the #1 way to get him to turn on you.
What you just witnessed was the biggest mistake that I made in Microwave 1, hands down. And I still have no clue why I decided to crush the rest with anvils after I killed the first ones by accident. Regardless of my reasons, or lack thereof, I had committed an atrocious act on someone who had been with me since the very beginning. And I got what I deserved when he betrayed me. However, at the time, I genuinely just thought, it's just a game. They're just Minecraft cats, whatever. And I had no idea he betrayed me. I knew he was mad at me, and by the way, the reason of they're just Minecraft cats is bullshit. On my end, things continued to escalate because of the terrorist, and on Ricky's end, he was working towards one goal. Revenge.
I thought he was totally lying to me. I was like, I'm not falling for this, man. This is stupid. Like, ain't no way you're just gonna feed me information like that. No way. No one is stupid enough to do that. I figured out that he had a motive, but the thing is, he was kind of bad at lying. I tried, like, just taking, like, all the information I could out of him, but, like, frankly, he didn't have much. He knew me, and he knew my secrets, so he's a liability. And also, I don't want him to go to someone else, alright? Like, manpower is manpower. Like, I'm not gonna say no to that, okay? Because I can use him as a soldier, I can use him as, like, you know, he can do stuff, alright? Like, I was never going to promote him to a higher position because, like, it was too risky. The fact that he would just, like, you know, change sides, I'm not gonna let someone in on my military secrets that would just do that so easily. Him as a spy wasn't really, like, important, okay? He didn't do much in that regard. Frankly, I don't remember much of what he did, really, because he kind of showed up occasionally, but he never, like, stuck around for too long. I don't have much else to tell you. He was just kind of there.
I didn't know that Ricky was a spy, but that didn't stop me from being paranoid. I knew he was mad about what I did, so I thought about the possibility of him being a spy. I made sure not to tell him anything, and I made my concerns clear with the rest of Virum. Eventually, Hunter came to me with some information. For purchase, of course, that's kind of his thing. Because Hunter was buddy-buddy with everyone on Microwave 1, and especially the Obsidian Empire, President had actually told him that Ricky was a spy. Hunter, then remembering how I helped him with his missing shulkers, offered to tell me a vital piece of information that could save our faction. He lowered the price on it, and then he told me. He said that Ricky was a spy, and that I should do something about it fast.
After being a spy for a few days, I went back to the main base, and you guys were acting a bit weird. Later, I learned that Hunter had told you guys that I was a spy. But yeah, and you guys were acting a bit weird, so I was like, okay, do they now? And I was ready for you guys to jump me and start attacking me at any moment, but you never did. And then you casually mentioned how there's like a crap load of TNT underneath their base. I like tried to play it cool, and then first chance I got, I ran over there and was like, hey, Andrew just said there's TNT. Preston immediately like dug out the entire like underneath his base, didn't find any, so we were scared that like it was still there, but like it just was hidden really well somehow.
Now, even though I had been suspicious of Ricky being a spy, and especially now that Hunter had just told me to my face, I still had to make sure he was a spy. Ricky had been there since the start, and I didn't want to lose him on some false information. So I played it cool. I did tell the other members that Ricky was a spy, but I also told them to keep it cool. We had several plans for what we were going to do about it, including trapping him in the nether portal we had, but in order to confirm what we had just been told, I decided to tell Ricky something that he would immediately have to tell Preston. I pulled him aside, and I just casually mentioned that I had multiple stacks of TNT underneath the Obsidian Empire. And I just casually mentioned I was planning on blowing it up whenever I got the chance. Obviously, this wasn't true, but my test worked because as soon as we were done talking, I saw him run over to the Obsidian Empire.
The second he told me that, I was like, no way. Because, like, there's this kind of, like, cave we covered over that, like, would have been, you know, we would have seen TNT under there probably, and there wasn't anything in there. Also, you know, just, like, the scale wouldn't make sense.
The sheer amount of stress that was plaguing Microwave at this time is hard to describe. Everyone was watching their backs, I was worried about what Ricky was doing and I was trying to find a way to deal with that. Preston was worried about our faction, the possibility of TNT under his base, and what we might do if we knew Ricky was with them. On top of that, everyone was worried about the most apparent threat, the terrorist. All of this stress and paranoia that had been heating up since the first 2 minutes of the server were finally about to boil over in the very last night of Microwave 1.
So, time passes, the tower gets blown up again, the spawn house is just gone, the fishing hut is gone, the walls are mildly damaged, I repair them, and I continue, okay, and I'm like, I don't know who the terrorist is, and this is concerning, okay, because there's a couple, like, big parties, okay, there's me, there's you, there's Hunter's group, there's Bodhi. Bodhi's doing his own thing, so it doesn't matter. There was, like, the high schoolers doing their, like, own random thing, okay, you know, that being, like, Caden and, like, I'm pretty sure there was someone else, but, like, I don't remember, honestly. And that was it. But the thing is, right, he was still feeding me information, okay? And one night, he tells me, he like, really tells me, alright, you gotta do something about Andrew's faction before they get too powerful. And I'm like, you know what? I understand. Like, the gunpowder farm was for fireworks, but it was also for something else. It was for, like, ludicrous stockpiles of TNT. That was the main thing. So we get that, okay, and do we get a lot of it, alright? Like, I AFK'd that for a really long time, got a bunch of that gunpowder, and I went out to a desert, mined a ton of sand, and then I filled shulker upon shulker. I had so much TNT at that point. It was more TNT than you would ever need for anything reasonable. I take that, and I take a bunch of other, like, supplies, and I go to one of our stashes, okay, the lava bunker, and I put all the TNT in there, and I put all of the backup gear, okay, not all of it, but, like, all of that I was carrying on me. I put that inside of the bunker. Then I wait a while, okay, and I'm sitting on that TNT for a good bit.
Preston had been planning this for a long time, contemplating the repercussions of it. The terrorist had told him to do it, and Preston was getting ready. He even had a backup plan if something went wrong.
In the meantime, I'm gathering everyone else. We're still, you know, preparing our stuff, right? And a thing I had done is I made an agreement with Emra, okay? Because the thing is, Emra was not really involved with much. He just kind of wanted to build a bongo in the sky, which honestly respectable. I made a house on a hill in a very recognizable location in the middle of both territories, with the intention of that being a house that housed maps. And the thing is, I did the damage calculations, okay? Underneath that map setup, because the maps were on the floor, there were stairs, which were, you know, above the floor by 1 block. Assuming people sit in the chairs, this was the instant death room. Under those maps was obsidian. In hard mode, even if you're wearing full netherite, prot 4, it will kill you instantly. So if I was ever apprehended, I could go in with an end crystal. And since other people don't have the economic backing that I did, I could go in and be a suicide bomber and kill everyone in that room. Call a meeting, kill everyone in the room, and then have someone else, you know, just like mop up the goods and then fly away. And I said, Emra, you will take credit for this house. You will not ask questions, okay? And he was like, alright. So whenever someone asked questions about it, I would say, oh, Emra did it. And they just believed it. They bought it because Emra just didn't care. He was just kind of there. Alright, I put the maps in just because nice decoration. I feel like in that scenario of surrender, it would be us giving up our territory and leaving spawn. So I did exactly that. I put maps to spawn on that obsidian. That was the failsafe in case anything went wrong. All right, and of course we still had all the like other failsafes, like the many like gear stashes and secret villager vaults and whatnot.
And finally, on the night of October 20th, 2020, Preston made the decision.
Eventually the night came, okay. I go to the lava vault. I take my fire pot. I take the stash.
So then we went back over, and by this point, everyone had gone offline, and we're like, okay, well, let's blow them up.
I fly over to that base, and I place everything down, okay? I place TNT everywhere, and I look through that base, okay? And I'm like, they have a lot of stuff, okay? And there was one thing in particular that I noticed. It was a stasis chamber. That was the one thing that I didn't touch, mainly so I could teleport you back. And if you tried to run away, I could get you again. I filled every single corridor I could with TNT. On the surface, up the towers, everything. And then I sat there for a bit. I remember I walked across that bridge, okay, and I silently thought to myself, like, this is more than you need to do. Like, I made like this fuse, like all the way from the main base to the bridge and to Sam's base, which I didn't know. And then, you know, I waited for a bit. I took a lot of pictures. This is a like do or die situation, okay? Because from what was telling me, I was pretty afraid, okay? Because I was in a good position right now, but I did not want that position to be compromised whatsoever. It starts raining, alright? And I'm just like, this is what I have to do. And then I take my enchanted flint and steel, and I light that TNT, and the whole thing, that moment, the whole base just boom. It's all gone, okay? And I watch that TNT like snake its way up the tower, just destroy everything. Every single corridor is just packed with the stuff. Like, the bridge just turns to nothing. Everything is gone. I go up, I build up a tower, and I like cruise down, and I just survey the damage. And it just looks like a crater. There is nothing. There is no semblance of a base. Like, the whole thing was kind of built into like the side of a hill, and that hill is just gone. I was so nervous, okay? I was like, did I make the right call?
It had been done. The next morning I woke up, got on microwave just like any other day. Except when I logged on, I was greeted with a crater where I'd logged off last. The entire area we were at had just been demolished. I saw that Preston was online, so I messaged in chat.
I remember you like logging on and saying in the chat like, oh shit, my base is gone. And I'm like, oh god. So what I do is that I still don't know who the terrorist is. No one knows who the terrorist is. And it's not like they're gonna just out themselves, because why would they? So I take some of my spare TNT and I blow up my walls. At least I blow up a part of the walls, okay? And then I pick up any item drop so it doesn't look like it was recent. And then I say that the terrorist did this. That the terrorist was responsible for bombing both of us. As to shift the blame off of myself onto some imaginary boogeyman.
I remember you calling me in a panic, telling me that they blew everything up, and so then I hopped on to see if it was true, and lo and behold, our entire first base and all of Sam's second base he made was blown up, including the path to the second base.
And that was the end. You can imagine the amount of devastation I felt. We, as a group, had been working on what we had for around a whole month. All of the effort we put into making our base and getting everything we had was completely gone. A month of time disappeared in an instant when Preston lit that fuse. I was more sad than anything. At the time, I was really passionate about what we had done and about Microwave in general. But the thing that I was really passionate about got ripped away from me without me even getting a chance to do anything about it. Later that day, in anger and in shock, I decided to just quit Microwave. I didn't want to spend all that time again just for the same thing to possibly happen again.
It died because of that, and also literally because Minehut shit itself. Like, that was the main reason. Like that, or maybe not the main reason, but one of the reasons. It was the fact that Minehut was having such a bad spasm that I had to make a whole new server.
With me, the leader of Virum, quitting, Connor soon quit as well. Connor was rightfully annoyed because of how it went down, and Ricky just wasn't with us anymore either. Virum fell apart, and without a major opposing faction to the most powerful empire, people decided that they didn't want to play anymore. Sam got off because no one else got on, and all of his base got blown up, which was completely separate from our own base anyways. Preston saw people quitting, the server was hastily falling apart, and Minehut was becoming a buggy mess. So he decided to start fresh. With Microwave 1 being discontinued completely and Microwave 2 starting the same day, people took this opportunity to tell others what they did during the first installment. Because after all, it's over. Right?